Building a mental health practice offline is very challenging, and building one online is even more challenging. And so we have to manage things like HIPAA compliance and accessing patients at the right time through the right methods, while building a brand really consumer friendly and engaging, and making sure that people that use the app have an amazing experience. And so when we started to dig into the partners that we would need to build this type of infrastructure, at the top of the list was making sure that we found an amazing partner to allow us to have HIPAA compliant video chat so that we could actually provide convenient access to our therapists. And so after doing a lot of research, we deduced that that actually ended up being video as the best solution for us. They were by far the easiest partner that we researched that allowed us to build a solution very, very quickly, which you can imagine in a technology company is really, really important. And ultimately happens to be a competitive advantage for companies, is how quickly we can iterate and build. So that was a huge plus. Also, they allowed us to be HIPAA compliant. I mentioned is a very, very important thing for not only just level therapy, but just for the digital health industry at large. And so we take privacy very seriously, and the privacy of our patients is definitely paramount to everything we do. And so we make sure that we find vendors that have that same viewpoint within privacy and trust as well. And so after my experience of using a competitor and having a very off-putting experience, I knew that we need to build a very user-friendly application. And initially, a lot of the companies that were in the market were web-based, and so people had to be attached to the internet, thus they had to be attached to most likely a room and not in a space that was really convenient for them. And so the sole option for patients to access treatment is through their mobile phones. And the goal there is to make sure that they're in a space that they're comfortable in. Secondly, we focused on making sure that we are finding the right clinician for the right patient. And so whereas the rest of our competitors and the rest of the industry, even offline, people will find therapists either through referrals or recommendations from friends, or most likely they just found one in a directory and just picked one because they didn't know how to discern who was the right person or who was the wrong person for them. And so we focused on making sure that we were finding the right clinician for the right patient. And how we do that is by asking 4 to 7 questions to get a sense of what the patient is, as well as if they have any preferences for the type of clinician they like to work with. So we've noticed that that has ended up being extremely important in creating a sticky product for our patients. And so for people that end up actually booking through to an actual session, they tend to be stickier, and we see less churn than there exists offline. So we know that we're doing something right there. Lastly, we have some self-paced action-oriented programs, specifically around anxiety and depression. And so these are some products within the app that allow patients to go at their own pace and on their own versus working with a professional to work on managing anxiety and depression. So we have clinically validated assessment tools within the app, so people can check in every 2 weeks to get a sense of how well they're progressing within treatment, as well as mood trackers and these actual programs within the app that allow them to progress at their own pace.